Hey everyone, it's Albie. I'm here for my April wrap up. In the month of April, I read, let's get them all here. I read 6 romances. So I did better than last month. I think last month I read a 4 or 5. And here they are. So out of the 6, I read 4 historicals and 2 monster romances. And yeah, I really enjoyed all of them. So I'll start off sort of how I read them for the month. So the first book I read this month was The Dragon's Bride by Katee Robert. This is a fairly short novel. Was it even 200 pages? No, it wasn't. It was 284 pages, so really short. This was extra spicy. I will say, make sure if you want to know extra triggers, because I might forget some, go to my review, and you don't have to watch the review. You can click on my review, pause it if you don't want spoilers, and then go in the description box, and in the description box is my written review, and on the bottom of that review I have in bold trigger warnings, so you can see all my trigger warnings for every book here. So some tropes in this story are marriage of convenience, monster romance, dragon romance. So extra spicy. This is a Katee Robert book, and she does write almost borderline erotica. To me, I love her stories because they're very spicy, but they have great dialogue. The sex isn't like the main part of the story, whereas in erotica, I find that sex is just like the main focus. The sex scenes just sort of tied together by some dialogue, and this is a story but with lots of spice. So our heroine, is Briar Rose, and she is escaping from her abusive husband, and she decides to make a deal with the demon so that she can have her husband sort of be gone, be ridden. I mean, the demon takes care of him, and he's not going to be bothering her anymore, to say the least. And she, in return, has to go to this sort of magical land and be married off to sort of a monster creature sort of thing. And she's like, okay, I can deal with that for 7 years. And so she is basically put on auction and purchased essentially by, is his name Soul? I can't remember. It's bad. Soul. To Soul the Dragon. And I definitely love this story because it had that wonderful like enemies to lovers trope, as well as, Beauty and the Beast. You can't have a story like this and not have the Beauty and the Beast trope, as well as Grumpy Sunshine trope. Just really love the story. It was spicy. It was romantic. It had humor. I just wanted more. It was just such a great story. I gave it 5 stars. No, I gave it 6 stars. So this was a 6-star read for me. So it will be considered in my favorites at the end of the year. Book 2 for this month was How to Be a Wallflower by Eloisa James. This was a charming story. So we had our heroine, I can't say that word, Cleopatra Lewis, and she is the heiress of like a commode company. Like her family is rich because they like helped not create commodes, but like have a really successful commode company. And so she is fresh off of losing her mother, and so there is a trigger for loss of parent, and she is learning about her maternal grandfather. I can't think of the word. Maternal grandfather. And she goes to live in London with him, and she has to basically come out into society and meet a nice man and have babies and, be a woman of status. Well, she's not really sure if she wants that, so she goes to the theater company that she knows her mother was a famous actress, and basically wants the costumer to make her gowns to make her look like a wallflower, to make her look boring and plain and not be enticing to these men looking for a bride. Well, while she's there, she meets Jacob Astor Addison, Jake, and he is wanting to purchase the theater company. And so they have this big fight about who will get the company, and it's definitely another enemies to lovers romance. This book was very spicy. I love that our heroine basically wanted to disguise herself as a wallflower, even though she really isn't one. And our hero sort of has a reverse Cinderella moment so that he can fit into English society. So love this story as well. It was 5 stars and it's by Eloisa James. This is book 1 in her newest series, so highly recommend. All right, the third book I read this month was The Devil's Own Duke by Lenora Bell. This book was so charming. It featured our heroine, Lady Henrietta Prince, and our hero is Ash Ellis. And Henrietta, it begins at a ball. So Henrietta is having a big ball for her father. They have lost her mother like a few years back, and unfortunately, her uncle and cousin died in a shipwreck, and so she has no one to really help take care of the estate after the death of her father. So as a woman of this time, she cannot inherit land or her even really her money because of her sex. So she wants her father to find a bride so he can sire a son, basically. And while at the party, she is sort of accosted by this masked man to dance with her. And so they dance, and she finds out that he is like known as the devil of the ton. Like he owns the Devil's Staircase, which is a really lewd gambling bar, and a lot of aristocratic men have lost their fortunes from this bar because the gambling is so high and they get so like addicted to the game that they give all of their fortune to Ash Ellis to keep playing, essentially. So Ellis has earned his fortune by basically having the rich gamble away their gold for, you know, fun, and that's how he gets his name of, or his nickname of, the devil. So I love this story. This is another one where it has a marriage of convenience trope. Don't want to give too much away about this. And there is also an enemies to lovers trope. And I love that this story features a married couple, and then there's some more that goes on. So a lot of times, especially in like older historicals, the couple gets married and that's the end. Like if you think of a Jane Austen novel, it ends with the marriage. And I like that this story has the marriage like 60-70% of the way through the book, and the 30% is like they still low-key hate each other and they're married. I like that part of the Viscount Who Loved Me, the book. They didn't do that on the show, sadly. But in the book, they were married and still like, ugh, I don't like you. But that kind of happens in this story as well. And we have an entrepreneur heroine as well. She wants to sort of turn her family's vineyard into a really popular winery. So yeah, there's a lot of food related books this month. This one was really food related, and I have another. So yeah, this was by Lenora Bell. This is in a series, The Wallflowers versus Rogues. I had no problem picking this book up without reading the others, so you don't need to worry if you haven't read the others yet. I had no problem. All right, the fourth book I read this month was for the Historical Hellions Book Club. This is A Gentle Feuding by Joanna Lindsey. I believe I gave this book a 4. This was also like a 4.5. This was a 4, and this featured our heroine Sheena and Jamie. They are on opposite clans. So I think it's Sheena. She lives in between the Highlands and the Lowlands, and that area is really sought after by the Highlanders. I guess we call them the Lowlanders. I don't know. And there's been a feud that's been started. The beginning of the book starts with Jamie's sister and her brother-in-law are basically murdered by what they think is Sheena's clan. And so it has some heavy violence and gore at the beginning of the story, but it doesn't really stay there. This book is very different from all the other ones because this is a 1984 release, so it is a traditional bodice ripper. It isn't really spicy. It isn't really sexual. It's just really different. I don't know how to explain it. So my friend Brandy commented, she's like, this probably isn't really politically correct. I'm like, yes, not a politically correct book by modern senses. And even for like 84, it's a little iffy because, I mean, the heroine is like describes being terrified by Jamie. He low-key talks about, assaulting her, and like he tells her brother, he tells Shane, his brother Niall, who's like 13, yeah, if I'm forced to marry your sister, I'm gonna abuse her in a lot of ways. I don't want to say like on camera, but you get the gist. It's like, what in the world? So yeah, it wasn't my favorite. I think I gave this I gave it like a 3.5 out of 4, just sort of because I loved the storytelling. It was really an engrossing story, and I liked the world building that Joanna and Lindsey did. But the romance was and I didn't really like the characters that much, but I liked that I was really engrossed in the story. Like I could picture everything in my head. Some of that wasn't great, but I enjoyed seeing these images in my head of like 1500 Scotland. I thought that was really cool. Is it? Yeah, Scotland. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, this is A Gentle Feuding by Joanna Lindsey. Has a beautiful cover. And I was lucky to get a first edition on eBay, so that was awesome. This is by We Discovered in the Book Club. I found the author. It's Robert McGinnis is the illustrator. And he did some James Bond covers and some other books. So yeah, that was Gentle Feuding. I gave that like a 3.5. Alright, this one, I did not like it. This is by Tiffany Roberts, who is a writing duo, a husband and wife duo. This was Escaping Wonderland. And so this features our heroine, Alice. And it's set in modern times. And so Alice has been like forcibly either kidnapped or something into like a mental hospital. And in this mental hospital, they put you in sort of like this, I guess they like control your mind or something. I don't know. I'm not a science fiction person, so I'm not sure how to really describe it. But like if you know, I haven't watched the movie, but I've seen it on TV, Avatar, where the guy, I think his name is Jake, I believe he's like a paraplegic, and they put him like in this like tube thing, and when he's in the tube thing, he's engrossed into the world of Pandora, I believe. And that's sort of what happens to Alice. She's part of this like experimental mental hospital thing where she's put into the world of Wonderland, and it was just a wild ride. I gave it a 2.5, and I rounded it to 3 for Goodreads because the spice was okay. And yeah, it had knife play, it had consent issues, it had assault, it had some gore. It just wasn't doing it for me. And I don't really like when like the monstery people are like more animal than human. So like in The Dragon's Bride, he was like a humanoid, so he's like basically a human male that was just like dragon-ish. But I don't really like when they're more animalistic. It's not the vibe for me. So Escaping Wonderland, I didn't really enjoy. Now the last book that I read in the month of April, y'all, it's a 6 star. Really, it's a 7 star. It's one of the best romances I've ever read. It was so steamy and sexy and caring and romantic. This is The Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shupe. This is book 2 in the Fifth Avenue Rebels. Why does that sound weird when I say it? Book 1 is The Heiress Hunt. I will say you will get spoiled for The Heiress Hunt if you don't read The Heiress Hunt and then this book, because the first like third of this book takes place at the same weekend of the happenings of The Heiress Hunt. So I would read The Heiress Hunt first and then read book 2, which is The Lady Gets Lucky, just so you aren't spoiled. But that book was a 5 star. This is like a 6, literally a 7. Oh my gosh. So we have Alice Lusk, who is sort of a shy wallflower, and she knocks on the door of Kit Ward's room. They are both staying at Newport Beach because their friend Maddie is having sort of an heiress hunt for her friend Harrison Archer. So I don't want to spoil too much about the heiress hunt, but that's the background. And so she knocks on Kit's door after dinner and sort of sneaks in and says, hey, could you help me learn how to seduce a man? He's like, what? You know, he knows her to be a shy, proper, very wealthy, virginal lady. And he's like, I don't want to get in trouble. Maddie basically told me if I touch a woman here at the party, she's going to cut off my best friend. So, so he's like, I'm not really sure I want to do that. And she knows that Kit wants to open a supper club. And she lives at I believe, the Fifth Avenue Hotel. And she's like really good friends with Chef Franconi. He's like one of the best chefs there is. She's like, well, if you teach me how to seduce a guy, I can hook you up with some recipes from Chef Franconi for your supper club. He's like, oh, that changes things. So the two sort of make a deal. He will give her lessons in the art of seduction, and she will give him recipes from Chef Franconi for his supper club. And oh my gosh, this book was passionate. It was sexy. It was sensual. It was romantic. It was kind of friends to lovers. It was lust to love. It was a foodie romance. If you're a big foodie person, if you love food, if you love cooking, that plays a really big part in this story. So I like that as well. There was an opera singer. I sing opera, so I was like, oh my goodness, I really love this book. And just so many wonderful things. This is set in America in the Gilded Age, 1895. And I know that I believe May is the historical romance readathon. So if you're looking for American set books or something like that, I would pick up the Air set and then read this one. But both are fabulous. But this, oh my gosh, literally one of the best romances I've ever read. Like, Joanna Shupe, brava. I'm so in love with this story. This has a trigger for death of a friend, alcoholism, childhood verbal abuse, and then Alice suffers some verbal abuse and shaming by her mother. So those would be the triggers. If I forgot to mention any triggers, you can click on my video links. You don't have to watch the video. You can just go on the link on that video for the book. And then, actually, I need to save the triggers for this because this was a 2.5. I'm not going to give this a whole video. I don't think it's really appropriate to, this wouldn't be trash talking a book, but I just didn't enjoy it. So this had triggers for sexual assault, knife play, gore, murder, attempted rape. So yeah, this book is heavy. Sorry to jump around, but I realized what I was saying, and I realized I wasn't doing a full video review for this one because I didn't really like it, and I don't want to make a whole video saying why I didn't like something. I don't want to do that. Even though my second most popular video on my channel is my review of A Lady of Rooksgrove Manor, which I think I gave that a 2 or 2.5, and that has my second most watched video. But I don't want to be known for talking about books I don't like, so yeah, I don't want to really go into that one. But this book was my favorite of the month. Honestly, it might be already my favorite of the year. I loved it so much. This cover is amazing. I believe this was from a video I watched, this is an unused artwork from a Lisa Kleypas novel from the 80s or 90s. This must have been a step back, because could you imagine if they had this? This cover is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It is by the artist. I literally talked about it in my video. Anna Klimt. K-M-E-T. I don't know how I get spelled. And absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover. I loved it so much. So yeah, those were the 6 books I read this month. I look forward to reading some more books in May. I've already purchased Texas Destiny, which is the May book club book for historical Hellions, and I went ahead and pre-ordered book 3, which is the Bride Goes Rogue, which is book 3 in the series of the Fifth Avenue Rebels by Joanna Shupe. So I'm excited for that as well. Well, everyone, I hope you had a wonderful time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, as well as comment. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram, as well as here at I'll Be Reading Romance. Let me know in the comments below What was your favorite book that you read in the month of April? Mine was obviously The Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shupe. Oh my gosh, loved it so much. It was amazing. I hope if y'all have read it, let me know what y'all thought as well. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye, everyone.